Marilyn Monroe didn't just grow up without a father. She spent every Christmas of her childhood moving between orphanages and foster homes, where she was treated as a temporary burden rather than a real child, never receiving the toys other children got, never sitting at a family dinner table as anything more than an outsider, and experiencing her first sexual abuse during the holiday season of 1933, when she was just 7 years old in a foster home that was supposed to protect her. Norma Jeane Mortenson, the girl who would become Marilyn Monroe, was born June 1, 1926, to Gladys Pearl Baker, a film cutter at Consolidated Film Industries, who was mentally unstable and unable to care for her daughter, and to a father whose identity was never confirmed, though Gladys claimed he was a co-worker named Charles Stanley Gifford, who abandoned them both before Norma Jeane was born. This video reveals why Norma Jeane never experienced a real family Christmas despite being surrounded by families during the holiday season, how she spent Christmas 1926 through 1935 in a rotating system of foster homes and orphanages where holiday celebrations meant watching other children receive gifts while she got nothing or hand-me-downs, what happened during Christmas week 1933 when a middle-aged man in one of her foster homes sexually assaulted 7-year-old Norma Jeane while his wife was at church, why the Los Angeles Orphans Home Society where Norma Jeane lived from 1935 to 1937 made children work during Christmas break instead of celebrating, how even after Marilyn became the biggest star in Hollywood she admitted Christmas always feels lonely to me because I never had a real one as a child, and why Marilyn spent most of her adult Christmases alone or with casual acquaintances rather than family, because she'd learned during childhood that the holiday season was just another reminder of everything she'd never have. The matron walked down the dormitory aisle, carrying a cardboard box. Los Angeles Orphans Home Society. December 24th, Christmas Eve. 9-year-old Norma Jeane sat on her cot watching. The other girls were excited, whispering, hoping, maybe this year there would be real presents. The matron stopped at the first bed, reached into the box, pulled out a small wrapped package. "Mary, from your aunt." Mary squealed, tore open the wrapping, a doll. She hugged it immediately. The matron moved to the next bed. "Susan, from your grandmother." Another gift, another excited child. Norma Jeane watched, already knowing. The matron moved down the line. More gifts, more children receiving packages from family members outside. Aunts, uncles, grandparents, people who remembered them, cared enough to send something. When the matron reached Norma Jeane's bed, she didn't stop, kept walking, moved to the next girl. "Elizabeth, from your mother." Norma Jeane stared at her empty hands. No package, no gift, no family member who'd sent anything. Because Norma Jeane had no family. Not really. Her mother Gladys was in a mental institution. Her father, whoever he was, had never acknowledged her existence. No aunts, no uncles, no grandparents who claimed her. She was alone, on Christmas Eve, watching other orphans receive proof that someone outside these walls loved them. While Norma Jeane had nothing, no gift, no proof, no one. The matron finished distributing packages. 12 girls received gifts. 8, including Norma Jeane, got nothing. "Those of you who didn't receive packages," the matron said, "the orphanage has provided a small gift for each of you. You'll receive them tomorrow after chapel service. Charity gifts. Generic, identical, given because the orphanage had to give something. Not because anyone specifically thought of Norma Jeane and chose a gift for her." That night, Norma Jeane lay in her cot listening to the other girls play with their new toys. Dolls, books, hair ribbons, small treasures from people who loved them. She closed her eyes and pretended she was somewhere else. A real home, a real family, a mother who wasn't sick, a father who existed, people who wanted her. But when she opened her eyes, she was still in the orphanage, still alone, still unwanted, just like every Christmas before, just like every Christmas would be. Norma Jeane's first Christmas was 1926. She was 6 months old. Her mother Gladys couldn't care for her, was working, unstable, unable to parent. So Norma Jeane was placed with a foster family, the Bolenders, a strict religious couple in Hawthorne, California, who took in foster children for the monthly state payment. Gladys visited occasionally, paid the Bolenders, but Norma Jeane wasn't her daughter in any real sense. More like a child Gladys had given birth to but couldn't keep. Christmas 1926. Norma Jeane spent with the Bolenders. Not as their child, as a foster placement, a temporary burden they were paid to manage. There are no records of gifts. No photos of Norma Jeane's first Christmas, just the cold fact she existed but wasn't wanted enough to keep. Christmas 1927 through 1933, Norma Jeane remained with the Bolenders. The Bolenders were evangelical Christians, strict, rigid. Christmas wasn't a day of joy and presents. It was a religious obligation, church, prayer, reminders of sin and salvation. Gifts were minimal, practical, a dress, shoes, things Norma Jeane needed anyway. Nothing extra, nothing that said, "We love you and want you to be happy." Because the Bolenders didn't love her. They tolerated her, fed her, clothed her, collected the state check. But love? No. Norma Jeane learned early. She was a transaction, a means for the Bolenders to earn money. Not a daughter, not family. Every Christmas reinforced this. While other children in the neighborhood received toys and treats, Norma Jeane got a new pair of stockings or a Bible verse to memorize. She watched other families through windows, saw Christmas trees lit up, heard laughter, saw children playing with new toys. But that wasn't her life. That was for children who belonged somewhere. Norma Jeane belonged nowhere. Christmas 1933. The worst Christmas. Norma Jeane was 7 years old, still with the Bolenders, but the state was considering moving her. Gladys was deteriorating mentally. The situation was unstable. During Christmas week, something happened that Marilyn would later describe in fragments to therapists and friends, though she never gave full details publicly. A man, middle-aged, someone in one of the foster homes or connected to the Bolenders church community. Someone who had access to Norma Jeane. He assaulted her, sexually, while the adults were at church or distracted with holiday activities. Norma Jeane was 7 years old, didn't understand what was happening, knew it felt wrong, hurt, scared her. She told an adult, likely Mrs. Bolender. The response, according to Marilyn's later accounts, was disbelief and anger. "Don't tell lies. You're making this up for attention. That's a wicked thing to say about a respectable man." Norma Jeane learned, telling the truth about abuse gets you punished. Silence is safer. That Christmas, she learned another lesson. Holidays are dangerous. Times when adults are distracted. When bad things can happen to children no one really cares about. After 1933, Norma Jeane was moved frequently. Different foster homes. Brief stays with her mother Gladys during Gladys's periods of stability. Then back to foster care when Gladys relapsed. Christmas 1934. Foster home. Can't remember which one. No gifts. No celebration. Christmas 1935. Los Angeles Orphans Home Society. The Christmas Eve scene with the matron and the cardboard box. Norma Jeane receiving nothing while other children got packages from family. Christmas 1936. Still at the orphanage. This time, the charity gift was a comb. A plain comb, given to all the girls who didn't receive family gifts. Norma Jeane used it once, then kept it in her small locker. The only present she'd received. Christmas 1937. Orphanage again. By now, Norma Jeane had stopped hoping. Christmas was just another day. Actually worse than regular days because everyone else's happiness highlighted her isolation. 1937, age 11. Norma Jeane was released from the orphanage into the care of Grace McKee, a family friend of Gladys who'd been trying to help Norma Jeane. Grace meant well, but she was also unstable, married multiple times, financial problems. She couldn't keep Norma Jeane permanently. Christmas 1937 through 1941. Norma Jeane bounced between Grace's home and various foster placements Grace arranged. Some Christmases were slightly better. Grace would buy Norma Jeane a small gift, a lipstick, a magazine, something that acknowledged the holiday, but these were still charity gifts, not family gifts. Grace cared about Norma Jeane, but Grace also saw her as a burden, a responsibility she'd taken on out of obligation to Gladys. Norma Jeane was grateful for what she got, but grateful isn't the same as loved. Receiving gifts out of obligation isn't the same as being wanted. The foster homes during this period varied. Some treated Norma Jeane decently, fed her, gave her a bed, included her in basic Christmas activities. Others made clear she was an outsider. A state placement, not real family. Christmas dinner. Norma Jeane would sit at the table with the foster family and their biological children. But the dynamic was obvious. The real children got better portions, more attention, presents from relatives. Norma Jeane got whatever the foster parents felt obligated to provide. Usually something practical. Underwear, socks, a notebook for school. One foster family, Marilyn later told her acting coach Lee Strasberg, gave their biological children elaborate gifts, bicycles, dolls, games, then gave Norma Jeane a used book, not even wrapped, just handed to her. "Here, Merry Christmas." Norma Jeane thanked them, because that's what you do when you're a foster child who knows she could be moved to someplace worse if she complains. But inside, she understood. You're not one of us. You're not worth the same investment. You're temporary, disposable. Christmas 1941. Norma Jeane was 15, living with Grace's aunt Anna Lower in Los Angeles. Anna was the closest thing to real family Norma Jeane ever had during childhood. Anna was kind, patient, actually seemed to care about Norma Jeane as a person, not just an obligation. Christmas 1941 was the first time Norma Jeane received a gift chosen specifically for her. Anna gave her a book about Christian Science, Anna's religion, and a necklace. Small gifts, inexpensive, but chosen with thought, with care. Norma Jeane cried when she opened them, because for the first time Christmas felt like it meant something, like someone had thought about what she might want and tried to give it to her. Anna was confused by the tears. "Don't you like them?" "I love them," Norma Jeane said. "No one's ever given me a real present before." Anna was horrified. "Never? In 15 years? The orphanage gave us combs and stuff. Foster families gave me socks. But no one ever picked something out just for me. Until now." That Christmas, Norma Jeane learned what she'd been missing. What other children had every year. The feeling of being thought about, chosen for, cared about. It made all the previous Christmases hurt more, because now she knew what she'd been denied. Norma Jeane married James Dougherty. She was 16. He was 21. The marriage was partly practical. Grace was moving and couldn't keep Norma Jeane. Marriage meant Norma Jeane wouldn't have to go back to foster care or the orphanage. Christmas 1942 was Norma Jeane's first as a married woman. She tried to make it special, cooked dinner, decorated their small apartment, hoped that now, as part of a family unit, Christmas would finally feel real. But James didn't care much about Christmas, treated it casually. Got Norma Jeane a generic gift, perfume or something similar. Didn't understand why she was making such a big deal about the holiday. Because James had grown up with family Christmases. They were normal to him. Routine, nothing special. He didn't understand that for Norma Jeane, every Christmas had been a reminder of not belonging, and she'd hoped marriage would change that, would finally give her the family Christmas she'd always wanted. It didn't. Marriage to James was fine, but it wasn't family. It was just two people living together. Not the warmth and belonging Norma Jeane had dreamed about. Norma Jeane was 20, divorced from James, starting her modeling and acting career, beginning to transform into Marilyn Monroe. Christmas 1946 through 1954. Marilyn was busy building her career. Some Christmases she spent with friends, some alone, some at Hollywood parties where she was the beautiful decoration, not a real guest. None felt like family Christmas, because Marilyn had no family. Her mother was still institutionalized. Her father still refused to acknowledge her. The foster families and orphanages were part of a past she was trying to escape. Marilyn told friends during this period, "Christmas makes me sad. Everyone talks about going home to family. I don't have a home to go to. I don't have family." Some years, Joe DiMaggio, whom Marilyn dated and briefly married, tried to include her in his family's Italian Christmas celebrations. Large dinners, extended family, warmth, noise, belonging. Marilyn appreciated the gesture, but she still felt like an outsider. DiMaggio's family was polite, welcoming, but she wasn't really one of them. She was Joe's girlfriend, not a daughter, not a sister. The feeling of being a guest, of being tolerated rather than truly wanted. That never went away. Christmas 1954. Marilyn married Arthur Miller, the playwright, intellectual, serious. Marilyn hoped again that marriage would give her the family Christmas she'd never had. Miller had family, parents, relatives, Jewish traditions. Marilyn wanted to be part of that, wanted to belong to something. But Miller's family was complicated. His parents were wary of Marilyn, saw her as a Hollywood star slumming with their serious son, didn't fully accept her. Christmas wasn't Miller's tradition. His family celebrated Hanukkah, but they'd do some Christmas activities because Marilyn wanted them. Always for Marilyn. Not because she was truly part of the family, because they were accommodating their son's wife. Marilyn felt it, the distance, the tolerance rather than acceptance. She wanted so desperately to belong, to have a family Christmas where she felt wanted, chosen, loved. But even marriage to Miller didn't give her that. Late 1950s, early 1960s. Marilyn's final years. Christmases became increasingly lonely, divorced from Miller, occasional relationships, but nothing stable. Famous but isolated. Some years she'd be invited to Frank Sinatra's parties, Dean Martin's gatherings, Hollywood celebrations where everyone was glamorous and drunk and pretending to have fun. Marilyn would go, wear beautiful dresses, smile, laugh, then go home alone, to an empty apartment, no family, no one who truly knew her. She told her psychiatrist, Dr. Greenson, "Christmas always makes me feel like that little girl in the orphanage again, watching everyone else get packages from family, while I got nothing. I'm still that girl, still watching, still alone." Greenson tried to help her reframe, create new associations, new traditions. but the childhood damage was too deep. Christmas would always be the holiday that reminded Marilyn she'd never had a real family, never belonged anywhere, never been chosen. Christmas 1961, Marilyn's last Christmas, 8 months before her death. She spent it mostly alone. Some friends visited. She attended a small party, but nothing felt real. Nothing felt like family. She called Joe DiMaggio, her ex-husband. They'd reconciled as friends. Joe still cared about her. "Merry Christmas, Marilyn." "Merry Christmas, Joe. Are you with your family?" "Yeah, big dinner. Everyone's here, loud. You know how it is." "That sounds nice. You should be here. You want me to come get you? Bring you over?" Marilyn hesitated. She wanted to say yes, wanted to be somewhere with people, with warmth, with belonging, but she'd been Joe's guest at family events before. She knew how it felt, being the outsider, the ex-wife they were polite to but didn't really want there. "No, that's okay. I'm fine. You enjoy your family." "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm sure." She hung up, sat in her apartment, alone, on Christmas, just like when she was a child. Some things never change. Some wounds never heal. August 5, 1962. Marilyn died. When news broke, reporters asked about family. Who would plan the funeral? Who were her next of kin? The answer was complicated. Her mother Gladys was still alive, still in an institution, her half-sister Bernice, who Marilyn had reconnected with as an adult, Joe DiMaggio, who still loved her, but no real family, no parents who'd raised her, no siblings she'd grown up with, no childhood home to remember. The funeral was small. Joe DiMaggio arranged it, refused to let Hollywood people attend. They used her in life. They won't use her in death. Joe chose the casket, the flowers, the service, tried to give Marilyn in death the dignity and protection she'd never had in life. But even Joe couldn't change the fundamental truth. Marilyn died alone, without family, without the belonging she'd searched for her entire life. After Marilyn's death, reporters researched her childhood, orphanages, foster homes, the rotating cast of temporary caregivers. One detail stood out. In 11 years from 1926 to 1937, Norma Jeane lived in 11 different homes, 11 places, none of them permanent, none of them hers. Every Christmas was somewhere different, with different people, none of whom wanted her long-term. A child psychologist interviewed about Marilyn's case said children need stability, consistency, belonging. Norma Jeane never had that. Every holiday season reinforced her core belief: I don't belong anywhere. No one wants me permanently. I'm always temporary. That belief, formed during Christmases in orphanages and foster homes, never left her. Even when she became the most famous woman in the world. Even when millions of people wanted her image. Because wanting Marilyn Monroe, the sex symbol, isn't the same as wanting Norma Jeane, the child. Isn't the same as choosing her, keeping her, making her family. And Norma Jeane, underneath all the fame and beauty, was still that little girl, still watching other children receive packages, still waiting for someone to choose her. That someone never came. Los Angeles Orphans Home Society, Christmas Eve 1935. The cardboard box, the matron distributing packages, Norma Jeane watching, waiting, knowing she'd get nothing. Christmas 1933. 7 years old. Sexual assault during holiday week. Told to stay silent. Christmas 1937. Anna Lower's gift. First time anyone chose something specifically for her. Age 15. Christmas 1941. Marriage to James. Hoping for family. Getting routine. Christmas 1954. Marriage to Arthur Miller. Still an outsider in his family. Christmas 1961. Last Christmas. Alone. Again. Always alone. August 5th, 1962. Death. No family. No belonging. No home. Marilyn Monroe became the most desired woman in the world. But Norma Jeane Mortenson, the little girl inside, never got the one thing she wanted most. A real Christmas. A real family. A real home. She spent her first Christmas in a foster home that didn't want her. She spent her last Christmas alone in an apartment, waiting for a belonging that would never come. And in between, 35 years of Christmases that all felt the same. Watching, waiting, hoping, disappointed. The Christmas Marilyn never had. The family she never found. The home that never existed. Some wounds start in childhood. Some wounds never heal. Norma Jeane learned that on Christmas Eve 1935, and Marilyn Monroe died, still carrying that knowledge. Still waiting. Still alone. Still that little girl watching other children receive packages, while she got nothing.